All right, heroes, in just a minute, we're going to get started with Fun Friday. Starting kind of late. Had a rough start this morning. Had the privilege of driving some folks to Los Angeles International Airport, aka LAX. And if you've ever been to LAX or driven there from beautiful downtown Burbank, it's a little bit like driving from Timbuktu to the moon. And so I've spent fully half the day in the car. No complaints. Love to do it. Kids are now going to see their grandparents. And just before Shabbos starts, back in the saddle. Now 64 says, hope you had a safe trip to LAX and back. I am here, fully recharged, rejuvenated. To be Jew-curious, I'm rejuvenated to start our weekly Fun Friday afternoon edition in just a second. Going to take a sip of the Move juice. That's good stuff. And going to go ahead and turn on our video screen. There you can see me. Let's see. Oh, that's the right camera. Looking at the camera on the microphone. So it's just been kind of a busy day. I was a little bit flustered. Went to the airport, hung out at the airport, came back from the airport. Christy Scoggins is here. Hey, Christy, hello. Nice to see you in San Bernardino. Been thinking about you this week. I think the earthquakes are a little bit closer to you than they have been to me. I'll tell y'all, last Friday, since last Fun Friday, something happened. I had my very first experience of leading services during an earthquake. So I'll say I don't recommend it, but, you know, I've had worse things in my life. I'll put it that way. So, Adrigan, good morning. Glad to have you here. Welcome. It feels a little bit like morning because we're playing a little Mario Kart here like we usually do on Friday mornings, only it is afternoon. I know for some of you East Coasters, it's getting a little close to Shabbos. I apologize for that. Sorry, not sorry. We'll do it when we can. And let's see. Tulpenvelden says, good afternoon from Los Angeles. Really glad you're here. Oh my, rockin' service. It sure was. And then there was an earthquake. So, very glad to see you here, Kate Dixie. Thanks for being here. Let's go ahead and start playing. So, just for a little bit of station identification, if you have not been here before for one of these Fun Friday sessions, you should know that this is the Jew-curious community. And what do I mean by that? People who are curious about Judaism from wherever you're coming from. You might be Jewish your whole life, but you're curious about why we do some of the things that we do. You might be considering converting to Judaism and want to know, want to get the skinny, want to get the dope, want to get the inside intel on why Jews do the things that we do. You might be curious, but not really interested in being Jewish at all. Maybe you're a Christian or something else, and you want to get to know the Hebrew roots of your own tradition. Wherever you're coming from, if you are curious about Judaism, you are in the right place, and I am here to answer whatever questions you have. I will say, if you're watching us on Facebook Live or on YouTube, because we simulcast this thing, the best way to ask a question in the live chat is to come over to the Twitch channel, and you just go to twitch.tv/JewCurious. You can find us here. That's the chat that I'm monitoring until I can afford a bunch of fancy multi-monitoring systems and things like that. But just ask whatever questions you have, and then just jump into it. So I'll answer the questions here. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, I'll check those after the stream is over. I'll answer the questions there as well. Just really delighted to learn with everybody who's here. We always get some really cool people showing up, supporting each other, asking good questions, and so I am here for you. Let's see. I'm going to turn down the Pretzel Rocks. It's our little background music here. And turn up the Mario sound. Let's see, where's our Mario sound coming in? If you can hear Mario, if you can hear the video game music, let me know in the chat, just so maybe I'll turn that down just a hair so that we can talk to each other while we're playing. Okay. Let me get some ear goggles on. Where are my ear goggles at? Hold on a second. I'll BRB. I'm going to go get my ear goggles on. Doopy-doopy-doo. All right, now I can hear what I'm playing. Mario Kart. All right. Let's see. Tulpa Belden says, excited to finally be able to join live for Fun Friday. I really love watching these. Thank you so much. That's a really nice thing to say. And let's see. We've had a solid question here for Fun Friday. Let's see. Speaker AJ says, I'll only be able to join for 25 minutes. My Shabbat services start at 6 and I'm on Central Time. Well, I'm really grateful that you're able to join at all. That was my one worry, is that some of my East Coast or later time zone friends wouldn't be able to join us as usual, but glad you're here for as long as you're here. So Nawa64 has asked the question, can you expound on kosher conversion? I've had various answers. Who decides? Is it shul specific? What about Israel regs on Aliyah? So that's about 4 different questions there. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and pick out my cart, and then we'll get into it as we get into our first race. Let's see, when last we left it, we were playing 150cc, and I actually won the tournament, won the Grand Prix in 150cc, so I'm going to try that again. Can't promise it's going to go as well. And for my character, this is a little bit conceited, I always pick myself. If nothing else, I want to teach that you can always be yourself. And, you know, when you're being Jewish, that doesn't mean checking your identity at the door. Oh, look, it's a shiny horse. It doesn't mean checking who you are at the door. It might mean some different decisions about who your life and, decisions about how you spend your time, decisions about how you eat, and who you hang out with and things like that. But it never has to negate the self. I'll put it that way. So let's see. Should I cart it or cycle it? That's kind of a weird submarine. Splat, what is that? A splat buggy as opposed to the ink striker. I think I'm gonna go, I like this kind of jet rocket thing. Just put my kids on an airplane, so we got jets on the brain. Gonna go with the slicks and that. I don't know if slicks are better for drifting or worse for drifting. We'll see. So Nawa64 elaborates, sorry, just been asking around and now I am Jew confused. There's a fine line between Jew curious and Jew confused, and I'd like to think both of those things can occupy the same space. Let's see. Naya Shashi, glad you're here, Ruthie. We did Star Cup last time. I don't have a hard stop. Last time I had a hard stop for a phone call that I had for a secret project that is brewing in my rabbinate. No more elaborations on that just yet. That's like months down the road before I can really talk about that. But let's go ahead into the special cup. We got Cloud Top Cruise, we got Bone Dry Dunes, Bowser's Castle, and Rainbow Road. All fun things. And as soon as we can get off the ground, we're going to go to Nawa64's questions about kosher conversion. Which assumes that there's an unkosher conversion. I'll give you my take on all of those things, and Israel's regs on Aliyah, things like that. Hold on just a second. Got a phone call coming in, and just because I had my kids are on a plane, I like to answer phone calls when I can. I don't know who that is, so I'm not going to answer that call. All right, let's get into it. Jazz Hockey, this is weird. I wasn't expecting this, but that's Rabbi John and ICK. Very glad to have you here, Jazz Hockey. Welcome to the Jew Curious Show. Whoop! Pass some fools. Now I think I'm firmly in 9th place, it appears. Doosh. Doosh. Do, 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 do. Okay, kosher conversion, what is it? So I always like to, when people ask me about this, I like to go to a place in the Shulchan Aruch I learned from. Oh, that was terrible. Cloud rescue all the way. That's a little bit embarrassing. I like to go to a place that was pointed out to me by the esteemed Rabbi John Hodson, fellow son of the Republic of Texas. Ooh, that's a lightning bolt. And he always points to this place in the Shulchan Aruch when it comes to what makes for kosher conversions. You know, Shulchan Aruch, no slouch as far as rabbinic texts go, where a lot of traditional Jews get how they behave on a daily basis. Oh, how did you just like jump ahead of me like that? And so it kind of gave the criteria for conversion in the Shulchan Aruch. It says, you know, if somebody comes to you wanting to convert to Judaism, how do you behave? And this is presuming you're a rabbi or somebody who has some kind of learning or authority over things like this. Whee! And so what do you do? If somebody comes to you wanting to convert, take one of your mushrooms there, what do you do? So it says, you know, the first thing you say is, you know that bad things happen to us from time to time, right? And if they say, yes, I know, and I am still not worthy, then what you're supposed to do is teach them some of the major mitzvot and teach them some of the minor mitzvot, and then you convert that person immediately. Pop them in the mikveh just as fast as you can before they have a chance to change their mind. And so that's how our law code from, I want to say always get this wrong, if it's the 17th or 16th century, around there, of the Common Era, says you should handle people who want to convert to Judaism, right? And so you might look at that and say, gosh, it seems way more complicated today, especially now Law 64 is getting all sorts of different answers, because in fact, different communities answer this question differently. As far as I know, in the Orthodox world, they abide by the Shulchan Aruch, and then some, let's say. They'll teach the major mitzvot. Whoa, how did I come in first place? They'll teach the major mitzvot and the minor mitzvot and pretty much every other mitzvah in between. In Orthodox conversions, I hear that you go before a Beit Din to ask permission to start learning before the process of conversion. So you go to Beit Din twice, at least. And then you learn for 2 years or more. And then they will follow you on Shabbat to make sure you're doing Shabbat right, and then they'll come to your house and inspect your kitchen. And look, if I'm off base, if anybody has had a different experience, please let me know. This is just what I've heard from a number of people who've gone through Orthodox conversion. And then after a couple of years and careful inspections and things like that, you get to go to the Beit Din again, and then they'll decide whether they want to encourage you to join the Jewish family. In other movements, it's different. I'll say maybe the period of learning might be a little bit shorter. In Reform and Conservative, I'm in a class that is sort of pan-denominational, if you will. But I sit on a lot of conservative Beit Dins, and I've sat on a couple of Beit Dins where there were rabbis who were Reform as well. And I'll say, at least per the Shulchan Aruch, Reform and conservative conversions follow those same standards of how do you judge a person by their sincerity. There should be some learning involved. I've never talked to somebody who converted to Judaism who learned for less than a year at least. I know some Intro to Judaism classes are shorter, like the Miller program is 18 weeks. The program that I teach in the Jew Curious School is about 6 months, or 6 months worth of classes that you kind of do at your own pace. But that doesn't mean that a person's only learning for 6 months. It just means the classes are 6 months, and a person might be learning with a rabbi or have been in a Jewish family for years at that point. And so, whoop, bite you. You can bite your face. Sorry, that was very unrabbinic to say bite your face. It's my competitive nature coming out with Mario Kart. So yeah, what makes a kosher conversion is that you go before a Beit Din. This is a group of 3 rabbis who are qualified to assess your learning and your sincerity and whether this will be a healthy life move for you. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes people convert for the wrong reasons. Sometimes people convert because they want to feel closer to Jesus, whom they still worship. At which point, you can say that's not necessarily a kosher conversion. And that's kind of what we're trying to smell out. Like, are people sincere? Are they doing it for the right reasons? Is it healthy for them? Is it healthy for their family relationships and stuff like that? So you go before Beit Din, and if 3 rabbis say, yes, you're welcome to join our family, then you get into the mikveh. And once you immerse in the mikveh, by custom it's often 3 times, but if you only get 1 done, then technically you've accomplished mikveh. It's not like, oh, 2.5, never mind. You need at least 1 kosher immersion, which means all of your body parts, including every hair on your head, is covered with water. And so if 3 rabbis say, yes, you're qualified to join the family, and you immerse in a mikveh, you are Jewish, and you are just as Jewish as the day you were born. And where the movements vary has to do with things like length of education, the reason that Orthodox rabbis don't accept non-Orthodox conversions is because they don't consider conservative and Reform rabbis to be rabbis. And so they think that the Beit Din is not a legitimate Beit Din. And that's their opinion. What I suggest for people, and so somebody, Nawas was asking, is it shul specific? And I don't think it's shul specific so much as it is kind of movement specific. What I tell people is that you should convert with a Beit Din that is acceptable to the community that you want to be a part of. And so along your process of learning and as you're preparing for conversion, as you're learning about Judaism, you should get involved with a synagogue, right? You should be a part of an organized Jewish community, whether it's, 10 people that hang out in somebody's living room and does services, or whether it's a big 1,000 family, mega shul or whatever. You should be involved in a community. And you should convert with a Beit Din that has rabbis that are kind of like mind with the community that you want to join. So if you want to be a part of an Orthodox community, you should probably go to an Orthodox Beit Din. If you want to be a part of a Reform community, go to a Beit Din of Reform rabbis. If you consider yourself sort of just Jewish, I would say you could have a Beit Din that comprises different denominations. That's really sort of between you and your sponsor. That's another piece of it. When you're learning, you should get a sponsor. This is a rabbi who gets to know you personally, helps guide you on this path, and they can answer questions like this for you and help guide you to the right Beit Din that you want to go to. There's a lot of stuff online that says, and not just online, this is before online was a thing, that if you wanted to have a conversion that was recognized by everybody, you should go to an Orthodox Beit Din, and that's true if you want to belong to an Orthodox community. But that doesn't mean that it's the only legitimate one or the best one. The minority of Jews in the world who are Orthodox might say that, but that doesn't make it true just because a minority of people say it, that it's true. So that's my advice. Whatever community that you want to belong to, that you're already hopefully actively involved with, ask around that community. Say, okay, what are the rabbis that kind of speak with the voice of this community? And those are the rabbis that you should learn with, and those are the rabbis that you should have on your Beit Din. So that's my opinion. With some, my opinion with 20 years of life experience, 5 years of intensive learning, plus 5 years of being a rabbi. That's my opinion on the matter. And as far as, there's another question there that relates to Aliyah, or immigration to Israel. So what you should know if you're considering making Aliyah to Israel is that there are a couple of different bodies that come into play. One is the Rabbinut, or the Chief Rabbinate of Israel, But while they determine who can, let's say, be married and buried, etc., in the land of Israel, they're not the ones who determine Jewish status for purposes of immigration. That comes from an organization called the Mizrad Hapanim, which means the Interior Ministry. And the Interior Ministry is the one who says, okay, are you Jewish for purposes of immigration? If you have one Jewish grandparent, you are considered Jewish for purposes of the law of return, meaning, if you're a Jewish person with Jewish family, you can immigrate to Israel because it's supposed to be a safe haven for anybody who is Jewish. If you convert and have no Jewish grandparents, then there's a different standard that applies. You'll have to go through the Mizrad Hapanim, and what'll happen usually is they'll ask for a letter from a rabbi attesting to your Jewish identity. And this is true for any Jew making Aliyah, is my understanding, whether they were born Jewish or converted. So if somebody was born Jewish, the rabbi might write him a letter that says, hey, I know this person, I know that they have this many Jewish grandparents, and they're Jewish for purposes of immigration to Israel. If somebody's converting, the rabbi might attest, like, I sponsored this person, this is the Beit Din that they went to, this is the study that they took on, and and the rabbi endorses them for making Aliyah. Here's where it gets tricky, is the Mizrad Hapanim, like any government ministry, is a political entity. And as such, it is influenced by Israeli politics, and because Israeli politics has kind of a coalition democracy, what's happened over the years is, in order to form coalitions, politicians have gotten in cahoots with sort of extreme religious parties, and that's how the chief rabbinate has become increasingly exclusively Orthodox and then some, and now the Mizrad Hapanim is applying those standards as well. And so more and more they are scrutinizing those programs of study that people take. And so I'll say, if you are intending to make Aliyah to Israel, you should talk with the rabbis who teach your Introduction to Judaism program, or the rabbis who might sponsor you, and say, will this conversion qualify me for immigration to Israel? And sometimes it will, and sometimes it won't. Long established programs like the Miller Introduction to Judaism program at the American Jewish University will, because they've had, Mizrad Hapanim has checked them out and said, okay, this is a legit place, and it's only really legit rabbis who are endorsing this, and so I should give them a shot. If it's a newer program, it may be a question. And for people who have been studying with me in the Jew Curious School, I've been very explicit, I hope I've been very explicit with this up front, that I am not endorsed by the Mizrad Hapanim, meaning it's a brand new program, so I've never had one of my graduates successfully make Aliyah. In fact, none of my graduates have successfully converted yet. Hopefully that'll change in a couple of months. But, so for example, I say up front, like, this is a brand new program. I can't guarantee you that the Interior Ministry, given the current political climate, is going to accept this. I am aware of online programs that tell people up front, if you convert in my program, you will have zero problem immigrating to Israel, when I don't believe they have a basis for saying that, and it worries me a little bit. Like, I don't want to name names, I don't want to libel or lashon hara anybody, but be very careful when you're looking at different programs. If making Aliyah is something that's important to you, get very clear with whoever's teaching you that their program will qualify you for Aliyah. I'm very clear up front that I can't guarantee that it will. So, if you're interested in converting to Judaism but have no plans to immigrate to Israel, then any program will do, and it just has very much to do with like internal Israeli politics at this point. Let's see. The law of return considers a great-grandparent who converted to Christianity. That might be a little bit far removed. So my understanding is that it's one Jewish grandparent. If you had a Jewish great-grandparent who converted to Christianity before having children, then that might be kind of tricky. So that's the kind of question where consult with your local rabbi, consult with somebody who is on the inside of the Mizrat HaPanim. But that might be a little bit far removed. Is just my opinion. Why does he flap his arms around? I don't know if you're talking about me or talking about my character in Mario Kart. Let's see what else is going on here. Can transgender people convert? I know that's probably a very complicated question. The full answer likely varies by who you ask, but got to ask somebody. And so I'll say yes. and I also know there are people who say no, because, I'll say why I say yes is because their transgendered persons are human, and a human who can make an informed and conscious decision to tie their destiny to the Jewish people and do the learning required and talk to rabbis on a Beit Din and get in a mikveh. That's all you need for a kosher conversion, so I don't see why not. It gets a little tricky around things like, and I'll just confess, because this is kind of a new area that people have been asking me more and more about, and I've been consulting with other rabbis. It gets a little tricky around things like Brit Milah and Hatafat Dam, because these are things that happen to a person's body parts that get complicated. So we can talk about that one-on-one. Would probably be the best. But that's just a step in conversion. It's not the totality of conversion. So from my perspective, I don't see a single reason why a transgender person cannot convert to Judaism. There are factions within Judaism who that retain some kind of homophobic prejudice. So anything that is not kind of according to their binary, cisgender, heteronormative way of life should not be considered eligible to become Jewish. And I disagree with that 100%. So that's my take. So the answer is it's complicated, depends on the community that you want to be a part of. I don't see anything in the Shulchan Aruch that says a transgender person can't, but then other people kind of hold that prejudice as a part of tradition. So I can't speak for them. Let's see. What else is going on here? Speaker AJ, I will come back and listen another time. Time for service of Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Andrew. Thanks for being here. Trig is in the house. You can't ride a bike without the clutch. Yeah, it's happening. Trigger said, hello, my dear. I won't be in attendance tomorrow. I'll be TBT. Oh, sorry about that. People here in the community actually get together either physically or virtually for a particular service. Christy says, my conservative shul uses a Lev Shalom Siddur. I notice you use Sim Shalom at PJTC. Are you familiar with it? You have opinions on the differences. So I've gotten a little bit familiar with it. We use at PJTC, that's the synagogue where I am interim rabbi for the coming few months or a year. We use the Machzor Lev Shalom. So a few years ago, we transitioned to the Lev Shalom Machzor, which was published before the Lev Shalom Siddur. So this is inside baseball for some people, but I answer intermediate questions as well, just to be clear. Woo! I think I don't know if I think I might be going backwards at this point. So I have seen the Lev Shalom Siddur. I think it's great. I mean, I would say it's fine. I kind of like the Sim Shalom just because it's what I was weaned on. That's the first prayer book I learned to pray out of, and I know what all the page numbers are. It's a good prayer book, and like the Hebrew is the same. And the more I've gotten comfortable praying in the Hebrew over years of learning, it really makes no difference to me personally. Oh, I can't hit that person mid-air with a boomerang. That is not fair to them. Especially for somebody who is still learning Hebrew or would benefit from additional commentary and things like that, I think the Lev Shalom is a great way to go. It's got a lot of great extra commentary that's added in. It's got more what they call transliterations, meaning sort of Hebrew spelled out in Roman letters. So if you're still learning the Hebrew, the Lev Shalem has more transliterations, might be a better choice. But I think the Lev Shalem, it's a beautiful book. It's very well done. You know, use some of the same translators, some of the same scholars involved. So I don't think it's, from my perspective, it's not materially better, but from other people's perspective, it is, and so I'll endorse that. So I think the Lev Shalem is great, and if I was betting money on it, which I don't often bet money, period, much less on what happens in synagogues, but I would bet that eventually PJTC will get the Lev Shalem Siddur as well. Whew. Why did I keep doing that? I think it's hurting me. Oh, I think I just jumped into first place. Jumped into second. I've had the worst luck. This is like right by the finish line too. Fourth. No. I think I'm gonna get knocked out of first place. So, long story short, I like the Lev Shalem. It has a lot of extra commentary in it. I don't use that. I don't get the benefit of it because I'm just there reading the Hebrew. Not to brag. It's just that's what I'm doing. But I think the Lev Shalem is a great choice for synagogues that can afford to like upgrade dozens and dozens of books at a time. Trig, sorry, I saw you for a second, then you took off. Thanks for being here, Trig. Really glad to see you. Jazz Hockey, can you carry your own siddur to synagogue? What about a purse? I haven't attended synagogue yet. I'm still scared, anxious. I totally get it. So there is, so for people who, for part of their Shabbat practice is not carrying things, unless you're in an Eruv, then you can use the siddurs that are there. It's totally legitimate to have your own siddur at a synagogue. Maybe you go to a place like PJTC that has one kind of siddur, but you're Christy and you have the Lev Shalem and you want to read that, you can bring that too. That's fine. For people who are careful about not carrying things on Shabbat, you can leave your siddur there. You know, it's usually like an honor system at Shabbat at a synagogue anyway. So just leave your siddur someplace that's like your regular place, and it's fine. If you normally carry things on Shabbats, you know, carrying a purse, carrying a siddur, it's about the same thing. Yeah, it's a complicated question. Siddur qua siddur, yes, you can absolutely have your own siddur. If it's a question about carrying things, it's like carrying anything else. If you don't carry, then you wouldn't carry a siddur. If you don't worry about carrying, then carrying a siddur is fine. If that makes sense. So Trig says, no worries, good to see you here. Let's see what else is going on here. Nashashi says, Jazz Hockey, come attend with us tonight. Nashashi says, I'll be there in person, but you can attend online with K. Apparently TBT, if you want to spell out what TBT stands for in the chat, that'd be cool. Just let people know that's a synagogue that does some live streaming of their services here in the Southern California area. All right. I got third place. I'm going to live with that. I'm going to do a little station identification here. Welcome to the Jew Curious community. This is our Twitch channel. We do a few different things. There's a podcast out there. Haven't made a new podcast episode in a while, but that's going to change. I just recorded a great interview this week with Esther Kostanowitz, and I have a couple of other interviews in the bank, waiting to edit those together. Temple Beth Tikva, that's what TBT stands for. Very good. All right, third place on 150 cc's while teaching about Judaism. I'll take it. So let's go into the next race. So we have Temple Beth Tikva broadcaster services on YouTube and Facebook. Do single player, take that. But here we are. This is a community for Jew curious people. If you like the podcast, if you like the videos that I made on YouTube, if you're part of the Jew Curious School, in any case, if you are curious about Judaism, you are more than welcome here. the reason I teach what I teach, the reason I teach on all sorts of platforms, is I firmly believe that living a life with Jewish practices and studying Jewish wisdom and knowing Jewish people can give you a life of greater meaning, a life of greater joy, greater human connection, and afford you greater personal growth. And I believe this is true for everyone, everywhere. And so because of that, I like to teach on a lot of different platforms that you might not necessarily find other rabbis teaching on all the time, like podcasts and YouTube, and now a video game live streaming show. So, if this floats your boat, you're more than welcome to hang out with us. Ask any questions you like about Judaism, about the Jewish people. I'm here to answer those questions. This just happens to be Fun Friday. This is the day where we have a little bit of fun. I'm not in my usual button-down white shirt. I'm repping the Batman today and playing some MarioKart. Have a little sip of the Move juice. Got some coffee in there. Who knows what else might be in there besides coffee, but it's mostly coffee. I'll cop to that. All right, gonna be myself again. You should always be yourself. Might try a different bike though. Let's see, standard bike. Who wants to be standard? I'm gonna go with Circuit Special. Sponge, Azure Roller. Let's see. Let me go with the slicks again. That's look like something that won't slicks. Let's see. Jazz Hockey says I can go to one in New Hampshire or Vermont. You must be on the line there. I've seen synagogue online, but it's not like being there participating. That's true too. I fully appreciate that. There's something to being there in person. Nevertheless, I firmly believe that online communities are communities. If you're there showing up as your authentic self, if you're there helping other people, that's what community is all about. It's nice to be able to participate in a synagogue. Nevertheless, I think it's important to afford opportunities for people to hang out with the community, even if they can't be in a physical synagogue. So that's another reason why I like to do what I do. Nayashashi says, I can't wait for Rabbi John Schultz to be online. It's coming up soon. I don't want to tell stories, but if you're in Pasadena, you've heard the stories. We are right now. We just got the cameras; they're about to be installed, and we'll be doing some live streaming of services soon. I don't know exactly how that's going to work. I think it might be to like a private. It won't be necessarily public on Facebook or YouTube. You might have to go to a particular channel or something, but that's in the works. So you can hear Cantor Root's beautiful singing, and you can hear me call page numbers in between her beautiful singing, and that's what Shul's is for me pretty much. Is just calling page numbers with the occasional sermon. Let's see. What's going on here? Hey, I think Gabby should do an album. I would listen to that all day. That's very cool. Now you got me curious. I need to check out Temple Beth Tikva online sometime. All right, so we are now into our second Grand Prix of the day. I'm going to put in a little plug here, just because, like I said, I can only watch one chat at a time. Want to invest in some new equipment someday. But for that to happen... Oh, I burned out my... I was about to ask you for money, then my tires burned out. Now, there are new things. Now that we are a Twitch affiliate, which is kind of a big deal. That means we've got more than 50... We're up to like 80-some followers now, which blows my mind. There's new ways to support this channel. First thing you could do is you can get some bits. This is like a little currency within Twitch. I think they're like $1.50 for like 100 bits or something. Or I don't know exactly what it is, but it's pretty reasonable. And once you have some bits, you can cheer. If I do something cool, you can cheer me on here. If I trounce Bowser, whoop, get close enough for that, and smoosh. So if you want to throw some cheer, that's a cool thing to do. If you want to subscribe to this channel, I've had a couple of people get a little bit peevish about the fact that there are advertisements on Twitch. And that's, Twitch is an incredible platform that I get to use for free. for some really high-quality live streaming. But how they make that possible is by running ads. And that's cool. You can sit through it. It's like TV. You get free TV by watching some ads. But if you want to watch this channel ad-free, you can subscribe. And what that means, you go up there, there's like a little subscribe button up there. And if you subscribe, and I think like you can, the entry-level subscription is like $5 a month or something. And if you subscribe to this channel, that means you don't have to watch any ads when you're watching something on this channel, which I think is kind of cool. So those are a couple of ways you can support this channel. That allows us to upgrade equipment, get new games, me justify to my wife all the time I spend playing video games. So that's a thing you can do. But I want to make it super clear that you are welcome here if you never spend a thin dime on this channel. If you never cheer me with bits, if you never subscribe to this channel, feel free to join, ask your questions anytime. You are equally welcome here. It's just some people want to support the channel, and that's a nice thing to do, so I'm glad that we now have a way to do that. And I think I just ran over my own banana peel. So check that out. You can throw some bits our way. That money goes directly to this channel. You can subscribe. That means that you do not have to watch advertisements, and our community splits that money with the Twitch community. And those are things you can do. Or you could come in third. Second! Take that, Villager and Baby Mario. I just beat a baby. I feel not so proud of that. It probably sounded wrong. Don't at me, folks. Don't tweet me. Rabbi John Carrier just beat a baby. Let's see. Great Jewish questions coming in here. Let's see. Jazz Hockey says, which source is the best for learning prayers and blessings? I know them by print, but want to know how to pronounce them. So there's a couple of great things for that. I'm just going to answer... let's see. Trigger Snap says, to learn prayers and blessings, I've been listening to them off iTunes. That works. A couple of sites that I've used and I would recommend, and I've seen other people recommend them as well. One is a site called Siddur Audio. Just type in Siddur, S-I-D-D-U-R, and the word audio into Google, and you'll find it right away. Been around for a long time. Excuse me. And that is a person recording the prayers and blessings from a conservative prayer book, which is, pretty much 95% like Orthodox prayer services as well. And so you can learn that way from Siddur Audio. Another great resource is the Machon Hadar website. Go to, I think it's hadar.org or hadar.edu. I think it's hadar.org, H-A-D-A-R. Look for Hadar online. And I think there's a tab that says prayers and services or something like that. And there are recordings of all the different prayer services. And what's neat about the Hadar site, so for the other one, Siddur Audio, it goes by the Siddur Sem Shalom, which is, for a long time, the classic Siddur of the conservative movement, excuse me. On Hadar's webpage, you pick the prayers or the services that you want to learn, and then you pick which Siddur you have of a whole list of different Siddurim or prayer books, and it'll tell you what page number to turn to, right? So it's got a database of I guess, single prayers, but also whole prayer services, and with audio recordings of all those, but it's also keyed to the page number of many different Siddurim or prayer books. So that's also an outstanding resource. Or if it's a particular prayer, you can search on YouTube, and you could probably find somebody saying that prayer. Just another way to go. Kay Dixie says, just bought some bits for $1.40, but don't know how to use them yet. Haha. I think there's like a little button that says to cheer. So just look for the button that says cheer, and then you can spend some bits that way. Somebody was saying they don't see the subscribe button on their app. I don't know. I usually look at Twitch through the desktop app, not the phone app, even though I have the phone app. But as a streamer, broadcaster, I'm usually looking on the desktop. So check that out. If somebody out there has a Twitch app and is familiar with how to subscribe or how to cheer, throw that in the chat and let people know. Hadar, so Trigger Snibs has asked, what is it again, Rabbi Hudar? It's Hadar, like Hadar. This is a wonderful organization in New York City. Get a rope. That's an old Pace Picante commercial. In New York City, the Machon Hadar, I think they just go by Hadar now. One word, like share. So Hadar means splendor in Hebrew. Say they started off as like as a Kehilat Hadar, like a living room minyan kind of, bunch of people wanted to get together and pray outside of a synagogue setting. And eventually, but they were all teachers and rabbis as well, so they started an institute, Machon Hadar, for incredible Jewish learning. And now it's just an amazing place with all sorts of great resources. I primarily got to know them through learning about and with Joey Weissenberg. They sponsor a lot of his work as well. He's my favorite Jewish musician, probably one of my favorite musicians, hands down, Jewish or not. All right, baby Mario. I got that. Woo! Whoosh! Caught you midair. Love Excite Bike. Oh man. Is that two? Back to third. So I'm going to be stuck in third place here for a while until I get some good drifts. Alright, back in first. And all is right with the world. Let me get that double. Sorry, kind of focus on the game, and I should probably check the chat here in a second. Whoosh! Kind of situation where if I don't screw up, I might pull ahead. Oh, who hit me with a fireball? Banana peel, you. Oh, I hit my own banana peel. Uncool. Well, that's it. The movie tells. Let's see. Got something about Pinchas in here. What's up with Pinchas? Boosh. Yep. No, this is not my game. Give some folks some hot fire. I'll take third. Okay. Let's see. Jazz Hockey says, I'm used to the Orthodox translation. That's cool. People get kind of a twist about Orthodox, conservative, reform, stuff like that. And I just want to remind folks that this whole distinction between Orthodox Jews and Reform Jews and conservative Jews is approximately 200 years old. And in the grand sweep of Jewish history, that's like 5 minutes. So if you think about a tradition that's, by some estimates, 3,800 to 4,000 years old, these kind of political distinctions we have between the denominations today is an eye blink of our history. And for most Jews, it doesn't matter. And I'll say it as far as like who you're willing to get together for Passover or visiting somebody for Shabbos. If you're praying to the same God. Different interpretations, different levels of comfort in how to do that. This is a product of modernity. And I'll also throw in there, this might be a little bit more harif or spicy, I'll say, for people to hear. I do get upset when people talk about Orthodoxy as the only true Judaism. That sounds a little bit, I'll say, Christian for me. If somebody says this is the one true path, that seems inauthentic to Judaism and frankly historically untrue. So there, you heard it from me. If you are into Orthodox expressions of Judaism. I will not yuck your yums. There are some places on earth, including Jerusalem. When I go to Jerusalem, I'll say I often go to Orthodox prayer spaces because they have some of the best davening. They have some of the best music. It's not as egalitarian as I would probably choose. If my daughters were with me, I might go to a different place. But I have no bone to pick with Orthodoxy per se. I do get upset when some particular fundamentalists, if they were Christian, they would be Southern Baptists, say that this is the one true path, the way, the truth, and the light. That stuff kind of bugs me. But I don't let it bug me too much because I know that it's not authentic to Judaism, so I don't worry about it that much. All right, I'm going to bite Bowser. I bit Bowser with my plant. So Orthodox Judaism is cool. Reform Judaism is cool. I've always been a part of the conservative movement, including going to conservative seminary and ordination and all that stuff. That's kind of where I feel the most comfortable. I like to say we're the Episcopalians of Judaism in terms of a lot of old school stuff, emphasis on ritual, or an appreciation for ritual that others don't have. So that's where I'm comfortable. You do you. You go where you're comfortable. I know plenty of people who think that Orthodoxy is the only way to do Jewish, and what they mean by that is the synagogue that I never go to is an Orthodox synagogue. I think if that's how you want to live your life, I would rather go to a synagogue on a regular basis that honors women as equal human beings, that honors people who are at various stages of appreciating the tradition and making room for wherever your Jewish journey is. So, let's see. It's my 2 cents, y'all. As I'm pulling in 7th here. I go on a denominational rah-rah session, and I immediately fall behind in the rankings. That'll teach me. Up, Cloud Rescue. At least I can get my biting plant out. That'll help me out a little bit. Boosh. Oh. Had a great speed up and then hit with a green shell. Let's see. Boosh. Not like a snap. Right when you get a mushroom, there's a lightning bolt. Isn't that true in life? And here we go. 5th place. That's more like it, 150cc. I know it was a fluke that time. Let's see. Oh, that's really nice. Jazz Hockey says, I've learned more Torah in the short months here at the Jew Curious School than I've learned in my whole life in church. Haven't been to church in 24 years, so yeah, me neither. That's not true. I've been to church more recently than I would. So I don't go to church on a regular basis just because I've got other places to be on the weekend, but and I'm Jewish. But some people feel weird about some people say that Jews shouldn't go into churches ever. And I probably wouldn't have that much of an occasion to go into churches, except I'm involved in interfaith activities, and I like to see what my pastor friends are up to. I don't have to believe what they believe to be in the building. And I have a lot of non-Jewish family members, so will I go to a funeral in a church for my Aunt Susie? I sure did. Will I go to my sister's wedding in an Episcopal church? I sure will. And when it's time for communion, I just told all my other sister, I'll watch your purse. You go do communion. I'm good. But I'm here to celebrate my sister's wedding, so there was no question that I would do that. Christy Scruggs says, I'm a Sunday school dropout. Sunday school dropout! So I'm learning a lot of it for the first time. They didn't like me. I asked too many questions. Boy, if I had $1 for every time so your story is unique and wonderful and valuable, and not an uncommon one in Jew Curious settings. For people who had a church experience that suppressed their curious nature and found Judaism to be a lot more consonant with how they saw the world. That was certainly my experience as well. Trigger Sniff says, this is the most video gaming I've ever watched besides Atari days. Well, I really appreciate your hanging out with me. My wife can't watch these video games unless she's playing them. She's actually probably slightly better than me at Mario Kart. In how it goes in our family, it's Nora is the best, And then Car and I are kind of neck and neck. And then Ava, you know, she's young. But so she's still learning. She's more into Kindle games, put it that way. But my wife's not super into console games because of the whiplash. She gets motion sickness from watching these things, especially like the first-person games. I think these are slightly more acceptable to her. Sienna51, welcome to the chat. Glad to see you here. Whoop! Right into a banana peel. That's what I get for looking at the chat and talking to people. But I don't care. I'm going to talk to my friends in the chat if I want to talk to my friends in the chat. Whoosh! I like a snap. Whoosh. Whoosh. Gotta line them up just right. Yep, I went right into that one. Like I saw it and it just drew me in. God, take that plant. And a lot of plant bites this game. Yeah, take that, Bowser. That's what you get for bowsing. For stealing Princess Peach. Oh! First place. Oh! Got a little Gerard Depardieu just now. And I threw a red shell in front of me even though I'm first place. Just goes to show you I am not paying attention. Saving that sonic boom for the blue shell that is inevitably coming. Alright, I think after this round I'm going to wrap it up. It's getting close to my Shabbos too. Got to do a little cooking. Got to prepare my sermon for this evening. Oh! Nope, that's not fair. Somebody just, you know, they did, but fair's a Fatora's kid. So close. I was number one all the way up to the end, and then I got blue shelled even though somebody passed me. All right, Trig's Jazz Hockey. Trig, me too. Is there any hockey video games? I'll let Trig answer that question. Trigger Sniff says, I have a Jewish neighbor that said the same thing about Hebrew school teachers, so it happens everywhere. Yep, Hebrew school, Sunday school. Kids can get bored no matter what religion they're a part of. That's why I really like the Miller Introduction to Judaism program. One of their slogans is, Hebrew school is way more fun as an adult. And I think that certainly holds up. So I'm going to view results. Hopefully that'll give us the highlights as well. All right, this has been a lot of fun, guys. I'll hang out for a little bit longer. If anybody has any burning questions, please ask them in the chat right now. If you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on YouTube, after I end this broadcast, I'll jump into the chat there and answer whatever questions are there. Just really happy to learn with everybody today. I was a little bit concerned. I just total space cadet on my part. Had to make an airport run this morning. Realized it was I'd have to be driving during broadcast time, so I had to change this time. Thanks everybody for playing along and hanging out anyway. I think there were some people who were kind of new. Maybe they can't join us in the mornings and could join us in the afternoon, which was cool. But I couldn't end the day. I thought, I'll just cancel the broadcast. No! I'm not going to cancel Fun Friday. Can't cancel Fun Friday. So just rescheduled it. Got in here in the afternoon. Came in fourth. New vehicle customization. Let's see what we got here. Maybe next time. So Tuplin Velden says, good Shabbos, everyone. Thank you, Rabbi Carrier. Oh, that's right. Britain, I forgot. Total, again, Space Cadet on my part. Very nice to see you here, Britain. And yes, always nice to see you. For everybody who shows up, thank you so much for being here. This was a lot of fun. If you're watching at home, look, if you just want to lurk and hang out, that's cool too. You're always welcome. You know, it's like coming into shul. You sit in the back. Don't want to necessarily, you know, make a big fuss, a big deal out of it. That's okay. But you're also always welcome to introduce yourself, ask what questions you have. and just hang out with us, or do a little learning, or just watch somebody who's really bad at Mario Kart. So that's this guy. So I think we're going to wrap it up for the day. Thank you all for being here. Going to, I don't know, maybe I'll grill something. Maybe I'll grill something while the sun's still out for dinner. In any case, if anybody's in the Pasadena area, I'll be at Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center at 7:30 tonight, 9:30 tomorrow morning. It's Parashat Chukat, right? This is, I don't want to spoil it for you, but this is actually kind of a pivotal moment in the narrative of the Torah. This is a place where Moses loses his temper and has severe consequences. And it's, for me, it's a sort of a tragic moment for this hero of the Torah. So check that out. And again, no spoilers. Read Parashat Chukat. You'll know what I'm talking about. And always love learning with you guys. So thanks for being here. You're always welcome to cheer us on with some bits, or subscribe to this channel if you want to watch it ad-free. In any case, whether you cheer or subscribe or not, everyone is welcome here as long as you are Jew curious. So with that, I'm going to say thank you all for being here. Shabbat Shalom. And until next time, heroes, peace.